everyone, welcome to the rural spring of the Jiangnan region. Jiangnan is known as the southern bank of the Yangtze River. It is arguably the most beautiful place in China, and spring is undoubtedly the best season of Jiangnan. And here we can see that the peach blossoms are right behind that small river, and this place is famous for all kinds of flowers and small rivers as well as little bridges that are dotted here and there in the entire region. But today, what we're talking about is not just the beautiful scenery, but because spring actually means hope, and here we're talking about a hope or a promise of the changing Chinese villages. And here, apart from the beautiful scenery, we can see some of the messy construction places. This is something that does not really exist just a year ago. Last year, this place was still a number of shabby houses with the dirty little roads, as well as a lot of garbage dotted here and there, just like in any other villages. But here, today, we can see that they are refurbishing, rebuilding all these houses, and they have made this entire place a very different thing that looks like how the Chinese people have been imagining the countryside, especially the southern Chinese countryside, should look like. And here we can see that villagers are working around the clock, trying to get everything repaired, and they're trying to make it as beautiful as possible. And to know more about this place and what this construction place look like, we can talk to the project manager of this Wufang village project. The project manager works for one of the biggest state-owned enterprises here in China. Is called CCCC Shanghai Dredging Company, and they have invested a staggering over $10 million to repair this entire village, or to rebuild this entire village with just around a population of over 1,000. So it means that for each villagers, they spent at least 80,000 RMB, or around $10,000. This is just staggering investment that is trying to make some changes. And here is the project manager. 很高兴见到您。你好。Because Cao Zheng doesn't speak English, so I'll talk to him in Chinese and do the translation. But you understand a little bit of English, right? 懂一点英文是吧？ 但是我们还是会用中文这样说的更准确一些。Cao Zheng is the project manager of the Wufang Village project of CCCC Shanghai Dredging Company, and very happy to have you with us. Would you introduce to us a little bit why this project is so expensive? Why do you have to spend over $10 million to work for this project for just around 1,000 people? 先给我们解释一下为什么这次要花这么多钱，8000万的人民币，只是为了这个1000户居民，这个1000个居民。
我们是这么认为，
我们可以边走边说。We can walk on top。
因为我们这个8000万一个项目放在这样一个无方村，这只不过129组3个生产队这个范围里，我们认为这个费用其实并不高，因为我们是一个综合性的项目，我们把农田、路、桥、水、房、林7个这样一样的项目都把它给统一的把它打造起来。你任何一个项目分开出来，那这点费用其实在我们这个整个项目里面占的比例其实并不高。那我们
OK， 我先翻译一下啊，因为时间有点多，我一会儿会记不住。So I'll first do the translation about what he said just now. He told me that this is it's not just a small project for the rural villagers, for the rural residents, but most importantly, it is a holistic project of building roads, bridges, houses, as well as farmlands, and are trying to rebuild the entire ecosystem, an economic system, the economic structure of this Wufang village. So this is really something unprecedented. 这个看起来是以前中国从来没有做过的一种事情，是吧？Would you tell us in more detail what kind of job you are doing here, especially what are the uniqueness of this project? 您可以给我们讲一讲你们现在在做什么，有什么跟其他的工程不太一样的地方吗？
我们这个项目呢，主要是一个给老百姓一个居住的环境，包括我们的生态，包括我们的一些产业链的导入，把我们的乡村，把我们的这些农民，让农民富裕起来。帮我们这些农民啊，大家可以提高收入。那跟我们以前做的项目有很大一个区别，就是我们要跟老百姓要 在一起，我们没有把老百姓都赶出这个村庄，老百姓还是生活在这个村庄里面。那我们通过我们的建设，帮老百姓把基础设施弄好，帮老百姓的生活条件给他创造好，那老百姓也可以走向富裕。
So he told me that the difference of this construction is not there, is that they are working on it for the local residents. They are not just chasing them away and build some really big projects, but they are keeping them here and they are rebuilding a whole, not just the construction, but also the whole life of the rural residents. To know more about the problems of Chinese villages, let's give you guys a little bit about the backgrounds of what challenges or what problems the Chinese villages are facing, and then you'll have a better idea why we're having this project. 我先给自己给这个观众们介绍一下这个情况，一会儿我再找您，好吧？好。So 您可以在这儿等一会儿，或者我们一会儿再过来，好吧？一会儿我们再您仔细介绍啊。您在这里等一下吧，这样一会儿我要不找不到您了啊。So while I'm introducing about the problems, you can have a little bit look about what is happening around us. All of these peach blossoms. 我们可以拍一下桃花，摄影师。We can see that there are several acres of peach blossoms here. This is the best season to look at, to have a fantastic view of all these peach blossoms. And here we can see that visitors are coming and they are taking pictures, and it's one of the best seasons for the urban residents coming to the countryside of Shanghai to take a look at what is happening here. But if we talk about the economic structure of this village, today you see the scenery of the peach blossoms, but it's actually a place where this village is specialized in growing peaches, and it's just unimaginable for many people outside China that Shanghai it's a very modern city here in China. There are still villages like these that are still growing peaches in the most traditional way and making just a little bit of money, trying to make a living. The residents here are having a very hard life. They have this backbreaking job of growing all these peaches, and in autumn they will have to do it manually by picking up all the peaches and sell it to the market. But as you know, the land as well as the labor is very, very expensive in eastern China now. So it's very difficult for the rural residents to really make a living in the small places where Shanghai is while the city is having a fast pace of development. And the most important problem with the rural residents here is that the economic structure is that there is 怎么了? Okay. So my cameraman just told me that there are a bit of questions from the netizens. So let's first look at the questions, and then I'll keep talking about what we are working right now. So the question is, are they going to keep the trees? Okay, that's a very good question. Of course, as what we have understood, that they will keep all these trees, and because these are not just trees that provide a beautiful scenery, but these are trees that are actually providing the basic living income for the rural residents. As I said, I was talking about the problems of the economic structure here. The rural residents grow these peach trees in order to make a living. But the problem is the labor costs are rising, and the prices of the market, especially if they buy a house, if they want to buy a car in Shanghai, is very, very expensive. It's not only expensive for rural residents, but it's also very expensive for urban middle class who are already making a lot of money by earning the salary. So the problem is the rural residents are actually lagging behind in the fast changing modernity in Shanghai. And if we look at the agriculture in other countries, especially in the United States, it's a completely different view. There, it's like one farmer or one family of farmer can grow a huge lands of what they have, for example, peaches or fruits or vegetable. But here, the problem is the rural residents have to rely on manual labor as well as relying on cows, cattle, horses, and donkeys just to grow a very small area of the trees because they are relying on rural labor. So that is why they're not making a lot of money, and it's a very backbreaking job of doing it manually. Many of the young rural residents are leaving their homes, trying to go into cities and become migrant workers. It's another different story of how many struggles that they are experiencing there. But for these villages, it's mostly about the elderly people who are staying here, and they're having this backbreaking job of growing the peaches. So that is why this makes it very hard for the rural residents to keep pace, to catch up with the urban residents. And that is why here, as I said, this village is trying to make a change of what they're doing on of how the rural residents are coping with their lives. And let's go back for a moment to talk to our engineers here to understand more about this ambitious project of investing over $10 million to change the lives of just around 1,000 rural residents here in Wufang village, which is in suburban Shanghai. And here you are looking at all these beautiful scenery, but the stories behind the beautiful scenery is more than just flowers and white houses, traditional southern style houses and pavilions, but it is actually about the inspirations, the ambitions of local residents to make a change in their lives economically. 我们又回来了。Just now we were talking to Cao Zheng, the project manager of the Wufang Village project, and would you tell us more about how you are actually getting all these lands and houses? 可以给我们介绍一下这个房子和这个地你们都是怎么处理的，尤其这个产权和使用权是怎么处理的吗？我们还是这样边走边说吧。我们这个边看着这个桃花表那边 ，so we are walking while we are talking, so that while we are talking about something abstract about about the economic incentives behind all these construction, you can take a look of the beautiful scenery.
我们这里的房子，因为我们现在特别是在上海，在中国，在上海，我们现在面临的很大的一个问题，就是我们很多的老百姓生活水平条件现在都高了，他们的很多的房子都住到了市区，甚至住到了镇上，那很多的房屋都在这里都空置着。那通过政府把它的引入，把老百姓的房屋收储下来，然后再把一些产业、一些企业的导入，这样可以盘活很多空置的房屋，让老百姓能够得到一定的收入。那一些企业进来，也能让老百姓得到一些那个薪水上的收入，他们工作问题也能得到解决。
So if we think about it, we know there are more questions, but let's do the translation first. If we think about it, here is in the rural area, it's mostly for the farmers. It's mostly about their houses and their agricultural lands. 我知道有问题，一会儿我看啊。The cameraman keeps telling me that there are some questions on the internet, but first let's finish the translation. So if we think about the farmers, it's mostly the question is all about how they're dealing with their houses and how they're dealing with their agricultural lands. And here in China, each farmer has one or two small houses and one or two small area of lands. And here, he just told me that they have rented these houses and also the lands from the rural residents, so that they can gather everything together to have this huge project of rebuilding this entire village. That costs a lot of money. Just now, I was told that there are questions on the internet. Let's take a look. Okay, so someone said, this is so beautiful, it's good looking, it's awesome, I bet that smells great. Yes, that smells really great. A lot of fragrance here in the village. 网友说这边可能会非常的香。我们其实已经在这里闻到了香味。It's not just about the fragrance, it's also about the liveliness here. Actually, in the river, if you look close enough, you can see the small fishes swimming there. It's just very beautiful. And let me see if there are questions. How many months will it take to grow the peach tree? Okay, this is a very professional question. For me, it's very difficult to answer. Maybe you know. 有网友问这个种一个桃树，这个桃花要多，现在是开桃花，这个桃子要多长时间能结出来？
桃子是到今年的8月15号，今年结出来。
春天种，秋天就出来了。
对。
Okay, so to answer that question, our engineer, who is also not specialized in this, but he told me that it takes about 8 months to grow for a peach to eventually mature and be picked up by the farmers. So today you are seeing the flowers, and in this autumn, in August, you will see all these flowers will become peaches. And if you buy them, actually, I was told that the peaches here in suburban Shanghai is very, very sweet and also very, very big. 这边桃是很甜很大，是吧？
对，是的。
您尝过吗？
尝过，去年我们都尝过。
So actually, I was asking him if the peaches are really big and sweet, and he told me, of course, and he tasted it last year. And to put it into perspective, 我想我们应该走这条路，是吧？ Okay, we are on the wrong road because we are going to the villagers' homes, and he told me that just a year ago he was here and he was tasting all those peaches, and it's also interesting that this construction only went on for just 1 year. So a year ago, this place was still completely different. All the scenery you see behind me, sorry, it's been blocked by this little bridge. All the scenery that you see behind me didn't exist just a year ago. It was still a very shabby little village that ordinary people that you can often see in many other regions here in China. But now I can tell you that this is completely different. It's very rare to see such a beautifully repaired village with all these beautiful flowers here in China. Even in southern bank of the Yangtze River, which is known as the beautiful Jiangnan region, it's still a very rare scene to see the beauty like this. So this construction only happened just a year ago. And this is another example of the China speed in the infrastructure construction. 那么这一年时间就可以建得那么快，这一年都经历了什么？你给我们讲一讲行吗？ I was asking the engineer what happened over the past year, especially if we consider the fast speed of construction.
我们经历的从一开始我们刚来的时候，从我们的老百姓还有不理解、不支持，但慢慢的，通过我们这样的建设，通过我们把房屋改得更漂亮，把基础设施建好，老百姓越来越支持这样的项目。老百姓都统一出来跟我们一起来弄，把自己的宅前屋后都要把它整理好，让自己的居住环境得到了改善。
Okay. So one key message I was getting from our engineer is that the local villagers, because this construction only started just a year ago, the local villagers didn't really support them a year ago, and they were having a lot of misunderstanding, and it takes a lot of work for them to convince the local villagers that this is a project that can be helpful, and this is a project that can change their lives. 那么我们刚才您说这个老百姓可能不太支持或者不太理解，他们有什么这个关切点呢？为什么他们不支持呢？
老百姓比较关切的就是这个地方。通过我们这样改造，到底能够形成一个什么样子的？他们的收入的增长点在哪里？他的房屋以后的亮点在哪里？这个房屋以后还是不是归他？他们都很在意这些事。但是我们进来施工了以后，
我先一点点翻译啊。Okay, so just now I was asking him why the local villagers didn't really support them in the very beginning, and what were their concerns? And he told me that the local villagers didn't know a lot of questions was unanswered at the time. The most important one is the ownership of the houses as well as the agricultural lands, and also they didn't really welcome the strangers who come to their village, telling them that we are making some changes, we are rebuilding your homes. There is always a distrust for the newcomers here in the village. That is just normal everywhere. So my question would be about how you really dealt with the problem, and how did you really convince them? 当时那遇到这些不理解，您是怎么跟村民去讲的呢？
我们先把我们的施工图纸，把我们的一些设计的图纸、效果图要给老百姓看，老百姓到底同意不同意？你如果觉得这样可以达到你的要求了，那我们按照你们老百姓的要求，我们进行施工。如果说老百姓他有建议的，我们也会采纳，因为当地的民风民俗有很多生活上的影响，那我们都按照老百姓的要求进行一些整改、一些改进的。
Okay, so he was telling me that they have to, when there were misunderstanding from the local villagers, they were having some very detailed work of telling them the blueprints of their construction, and also what are specifically will be the changes in their lives. And also, most importantly, they consult with rural residents to ask them what are what suggestions they have, and especially the local rural traditional customs that outsiders may not easily understand. So they're having a lot of work of not just doing the construction, but also dealing with people. This is also something different. He was telling me just now that this is something very different in the if we compare to other construction projects here in China, because normally China is known for building big bridges, long roads, high-speed rails. These are globally known, but it's very rare for China to go in such detail and build something not only for the people, but they have to consider the people, especially the local residents, as part of the project. So this is something that is really interesting. And my cameraman tells me again that now there are questions coming up. Let's take a look. One netizen who is named as Thomas Bain was asking, will it snow there? This is an interesting question because I've been based in Shanghai for several years, and normally Shanghai doesn't snow in winter, but sometimes it does. And this year, it snows really heavily. 有人问会不会下雪？这个我知道，所以我先给大家解答一下，一会儿您再说一下您的想法啊。So it snows heavily in the winter. It snows heavily this winter, but not in every winter. And I also think that if it snows here, that might somehow hinder the project, the construction of this project, right? 下雪的时候会不会也影响工程进度呢？
对，下雪的时候对我们的施工确实是有一些影响的，但是我们可以尽量避免，因为我们在下雪的时候我们进行一些室内的施工，那到了下雪的时候，让我们尽量避免。
So he told me that there might be some effect. Negative effect when it snows, but they try to reduce the negative impact of the snow. And we also know that last year there were a lot of typhoons here in Shanghai. I think I remember at least 3 or 4 rounds of typhoons. 4次。我现在正在问这个台风的问题啊。现在有4次的这个台风。How did you cope with that? 你怎么解决的这个？
我们在台风前，我们首先做了预案。那台风来的时候，我们让老百姓都远离我们的建筑施工现场。那等台风过了以后，我们立马组织施工，然后把我们台风期间的这些进度我们要抓回来。
So again, it's the example of China's speed. When there was typhoon, they stopped the project, the construction of the project. But right after the typhoon is over, they restarted all the construction, and they still keep the original pace of making sure that they are still on the schedule. This is a very tough job here, right? Especially when we consider 4 rounds of typhoon, which is very rare here in Shanghai. And to put it to perspective, where we are now in the villager's home, in one of the homes of the local villagers, and we are about to enter the homes of the villager to see the changes of their lives. But for this one, I can tell you that this is the home that has been already rented to the project. So as I said, I was introducing to you about how they are dealing with the homes and also the lands here in Wufang village. Some of the residents rent out some of their houses and also their agricultural lands to the project, and like this one, it's already been rented to the project. And the idea is to rebuild this house into a tourism center, so villagers can come and use it as either a hotel or a restaurant. As I'm still not quite sure what kind of purpose that they will have. And inside is still quite messy. It's still the construction taking place. We can take a look at what it is. 我们进来看一下这个屋子里面吧。It's still very, very messy inside because construction is still going on. So here, this place used to be the home of one villager. He was outside, and he will join us very soon. This place was his home, and it was a very shabby house originally, just a year ago. But now I think it's even shabbier, it's even messier. But the thing is, they are building it into something very new and very fancy. You see, construction is already going on. And let's talk to the villager to learn more about how this is how this construction is going and how it is changing his life, not only his life, but the life of his whole family. 您好，那个刚才我们聊过一些啊，我们现在这个来跟您采访一下。So this is Wu Dajun, the local villager of Wufang village, and he was just now we were talking about how this project is changing his homes. He doesn't speak English as well, so I'll have to do the translation. 因为您不讲英语，所以我就用中文来提问，然后之后我对这个观众来翻译，好吧？
好的，好的。
这个您讲一下，就是您能带着我们先看看您的房子嘛，然后一边看一边给介绍一下这个。原来您是住在这里？
原先住在这里，从去年开始租给政府了以后搬出来的，搬出来以后嘛，现在呢他们要装修，装修呢还没装修，所以搞得杂七杂八的东西还蛮多的。
So he told me that just as I said, he was living here with his whole family. Last year they decided to rent it out to the local government, and they are now building this, rebuilding his home. So now it's a little bit messy, just as what he told me. 那我想问您一个问题啊，就是说您把这个房子租给政府，首先您怎么住？您住在哪儿？第二呢，就是说您租给政府之后，对您的生活是有什么影响？比如说您房子住的地方变少了，那收入是？
住的房子有我南桥有3平房，有一栋3平房，有一套3平房住在南桥。这里呢，小房子呢，我爸爸妈妈住在这里。爸爸全面那个3间小房子呢，是爸爸妈妈住在这里。
这个还是那个有人住的，
对，
没有被租出去。
对，没有租出去。这一栋房子呢，总的是300多一点平方呢，一年租出去是租金7万1。
哇，好多啊！
这7万1。
我先翻译一下，因为信息量有点大啊。So he told me that this is one of the extra houses that they have here in the village, and they still have some other houses in some other areas of this village. And that house, if you can see across the yard, is still being owned by their 父母是吧？ by his parents. So this one has been just rented out to local government, and now they are having this construction taking place inside. And another most important information he told me is about the price. It's 71,000 RMB per year, which is a little bit about 10,000 US dollars a year. That's quite a lot. 7万1的这个人民币一年是吧？这个在当地相当于一个什么水平啊？
这个我在当地还算高的了。
算高的，
还算高的。
So this is a very high price, he told me, for the rents. And it seems that the local government is really spending a lot of money trying to make sure that this project can happen. 一开始有这个项目的时候，您是这个您当时有没有犹豫呢？有没有觉得这个不是特别理想，或者有什么计算吗？当时 I was asking him if there was some calculation or some hesitation in the very beginning when the government comes and offered that price.
这个呢，我呢是全城第一个签协议的。
您是第一个。
我是第一个。
Okay, so it's big surprise. He was the very first villager here in Wufang village, and probably here in China to decided to join such an ambitious project.
因为我相信城里边，相信政府，所以我把都空余的房子就租给城里边了。我是全城第一个。
Okay, so he told me that he trusted the government and trusted the local government, so that he decided to rent this house out to join this project. And to put it into perspective, this is an unprecedented project from the Chinese government that they are spending 80 million $10 million US dollars or 80 million RMB to rebuild an entire village for just 1,000 rural residents here in Wufang village, and they are collecting the lands as well as the houses to build houses into tourism centers, into hotels, into restaurants, and also they gathered all the agricultural lands and they build them into the scale agriculture so that they can have big farming machines coming here and replace the local residents from growing the peach trees manually. So something that unprecedented here in China, and it's also a very expensive project. 我们再看一看您的这个房间，好吧？您这边 原来是个很大的房子呀，您这边大概几个人住一个房间啊？
原先就是这一间呢，原先是夫妻2个人住的，那一间呢是我女儿住的。那么现在呢，我们夫妻2个人住在女儿一起，住在南桥奉贤区南桥镇，住在一起。
所以您现在有没有觉得会变得更拥挤呢？因为原来大家都有那么大地方住，现在您
也可以。现在南桥的房子也100来个平方，也可以做。现在就是夫妻3个，有的是女婿过来住，反正人也不多。现在就4个人住在100来一点平方嘛，也可以做，一点问题不大。
OK， 行，那我们一边走一边出去吧，因为里面似乎回音有一点大。So I was asking our villager to lead us out because here it's a little bit of echo, so the voice doesn't sound very well. So he told me that because they rent out some of their houses here in the local village, 我们下去吧。Rent out some of the houses to the local government. Their living space become significantly smaller, and now they have to share the same house with his daughter. 是您的女儿和女婿是吧？ Daughter and also son-in-law, but still they think that this is a very worthy deal that they have made with the local governments, because that really offers them a higher price for their living, so they are earning a lot more money than before, and they're happy to join this project. 是不是其实也这个原因也是因为有一些个人离开了您的这个家呢？比如说去城里面工作啊什么的。
对。那么这里呢还有一栋房子要造。
还有一栋房子要造。
这地基初稿的电机已经搞了。他们现在还要打算马上图纸大概今天出来，今天出来了以后马上要开始开工了。
Okay, he told me that they are now building a new house here, and we can see that the ground has already been cleared up, and you can imagine a new house against the backdrop of all kinds of peach trees. That's just beautiful, and also that little river there. In the urban area, this can be a really great house, but here in the rural villages, for rural residents, it's just something normal here. So just welcome to the rural China, rural Jiangnan, the southern bank of the Yangtze River. You can live in the dreamy place of something like this. 这个房子建的是政府的项目，还是说您自己家的？
也是政府的项目。
所以您把这个地也租给政府了。Okay, so this place is also being rented to the government. So they are to choose between the rent and also the ownership of their house. They decided to go with the rent because in that way they can have a lot more money than just keeping their houses and having a bigger space of living. So this is how the Chinese residents, the rural residents, are changing their mindset than before. Because in the past, they used to think that as long as I have my land, I have my house, I have my safety net. But today, they're joining the huge market in China that they are renting out some of their houses and some of their lands and make sure that they have more cash flowing into their homes so that they can chase something new. 那么我们说到这儿就想问您一下，就是您拿到这些租金之后，您是打算做什么呢？是继续种地？因为您还应该留了一部分地，对吧？
没有
没有
地呢，全部也城里边经济合作社收过去了。他是给我们农民呢，就是流转费，每年的流转费，每亩每年2200块钱1亩，流转费给我们。
一共是多少？
我1亩8分。
1亩8分，就是一年有
将近4000块钱吧，4000块钱左右吧。
行。Okay, so he told me that he also rented out all his agricultural lands here in the village, and he earns about 4,000 RMB per year for the rent of his agricultural land, which is about $800 US per year for the rent of the agricultural lands. So I was asking him, since he has given up the ownership of some of his houses, at least temporarily, to the government, and also the land, the ownership of the land, what kind of ambition or what kind of career he will be pursue to make more money for his family? Because normally the Chinese rural residents would decide to just grow their crops on their lands. But now, since they have given up all these, will they change their pursuit. 您这个地也租出去了，房子也租出去了，您下一步准备怎么？您拿这些钱做什么呢？
我本来已经退休了，退休了就等于拿了这点钱养老吧，应该生活还可以吧？
那还真是。那像您是这样，因为有些可能是比较年轻的，他们
对
租出去是做什么呢？
他们租出去以后嘛，有的嘛在工厂里面打工的嘛也有，打工的嘛，反正地租出去的多余的时间嘛都在打工了，一般的人都这样。
So he told me that well, he has already retired. He decided to just use the money as pension, just to go just to have a better elderly life. But for those residents who are still younger, who still have the eagerness to work and earn more money, well, they have given up the ownership of lands and houses. They decided to go into cities and somehow become migrant workers and make more money out of their urban jobs, which can offer a lot more money than just staying here, growing all these their small areas of lands manually. So it sounds like a good deal for the rural residents, but do they really like to be the migrant workers? 那您觉得像这个，如果把地都租出去了，他去城里面打工，会在这种地好呢？尤其做农民工，会不会比较辛苦呢？
本来做农民工呢比较辛苦，种地本来辛苦，现在呢，反正地交给经济合作社以后呢，反而光打工呢还轻松一点，还比较轻松一点。那么把地租出去嘛，也有一部分收入的，再加上那个打工也有收入嘛，对老百姓讲起来是比较富裕一点。
So he told me that in the past, it's an even tougher job. It was an even tougher job for rural residents to grow their crops here in the rural areas, while at the same time trying to earn extra money working as a migrant worker. But now, since they have given up the lands, they have rented all these lands to the local governments and earn the rents. It at least takes away some of their workloads, and they can focus on their urban jobs. That is making their lives a little bit better. So it sounds like a deal that is not fundamentally changing the rural residents' life, but is at least offering more choices and offering some better earnings for the rural residents, and it's still up to their own choice to decide whether they want to keep their lands, keep their houses, or they want to join this unprecedented project to take a leap of faith, just like what he did in the very beginning, to trust the local government and also give rent their lands and houses to the government and to earn the rents as the extra income for their family. Okay, 谢谢您. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, now we are still in the yard of Mr. Wu. This is a really great place, and Wufang village in suburban Shanghai, in Fengxian district of Shanghai. If you're interested, come here and take some pictures and enjoy this beautiful spring of Wufang village in suburban Shanghai. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.